There are a ton of keyboard shortcuts that makes using a Mac super fast, and there's a few that I just learned that blew my mind. I'll show you how I quickly navigate tabs in Safari, select a bunch of files, and create a folder for them with one shortcut. Keyboard shortcuts for Apple Notes, adding hyperlinks everywhere, and many of these shortcuts work on Mac and iPad. This first one is wild. If you want to jump to the settings of whatever app is active, so right now Safari is active on my Mac, you can literally just press Command and the comma button. And it doesn't have to be simultaneous. You can just hold Command and then press the comma button, and it's going to open the settings for that app. If I go to a different app, here's Bear, I'll do the same thing, Command comma, and it opens the Bear settings. Well, what blew my mind is this works on iPad too. So here I have Safari open on my iPad, I'll do Command comma, and it jumps me to the settings app with that app in focus. The same is true for Mail, Command comma, and it jumps me to the Mail settings. Works for reminders, Command comma, jump to the reminder settings. Now while we're here on iPad, of course you could bring the emoji picker up by clicking the globe key, but if you don't have that programmed, Command Control Space will also bring up the emoji keyboard on your Apple devices. Especially helpful if you're using like a mechanical or third-party keyboard, just do Command Control Space and that emoji picker pops up. All right, this next one's for your Mac. If you're adjusting the volume, but you find those adjustments are a little too big and you want to have more granular control, hold the Shift, then Option button, and now adjust the volume, and you'll get a more granular control over that speaker volume. Just keep Shift and Option held down with your fingers, and then adjust the volume using the buttons on the F keys. And you'll see if I stop holding those buttons, now I get larger adjustments. Now let's get back to Safari, and these are some tips that will work both on your Mac and your iPad. Let's say you were browsing a website and you wanted to go back a page. Well, rather than going all the way up to the back button and clicking that, just do Command and left bracket, and that will send you back. Then if you want to go forward, just do Command right bracket, and it'll be the forward button. If you want to cycle through your tabs like you would cycle through your apps on the Mac, hold the Control button and then Tab on the keyboard, and you can cycle through all your open tabs in Safari. But I'm going to show you a keyboard shortcut I like even better. I like controlling whether I'm going left or right. And to do that, I hold the Command button, the Shift button, and then the left and right bracket. Now I can choose to go left or right among my open tabs, and it works great on iPad too. Command Shift right bracket or left bracket. Oh, by the way, that's my tech podcast, Primary Technology. Link below. You should subscribe. Also, if you're on your iPad or your Mac, this works on both, and you want to jump to the address bar to start typing an address or a search, just hit Command L. You'll automatically highlight the address bar, and then you can go to something like beard.fm. Works great on the Mac too, Command L, and you jump up to that address bar. I have more shortcuts for Safari and then notes and text formatting, but if you want a shortcut for handling your money, that's where today's sponsor comes in, Monarch. I've personally been using Monarch for months now. I love their little widget I keep in the Today view. This way I can see the latest transactions across all my accounts with a single tap. I can filter by accounts or categories just to see transactions for things like my Apple Card. And Monarch makes it really easy to keep track of recurring payments, and I can even see how many times this charge has hit my account. Monarch syncs with over 13,000 institutions. The setup is fast, secure with all major banks, credit cards, and brokerages, and it's private and ad-free. You're the customer, not the product. There's no ads and no data selling. There's one clean dashboard so you can see all your accounts in one place, things like net worth, even connecting your investment accounts. And there's also flexible budgeting where you can have fixed versus flexible spending, customize rules and categories. And it's couples ready, so you can share and sync your information with a partner or spouse, and you can both keep an eye on your financial picture. And of course, it's cross-platform, has a beautiful iPhone app, or you can manage it on the web. And you can even set up goals, whether that's college savings, a vacation, maybe buying some more studio gear, which I do periodically. Well, you can set all of those up in Monarch. So scan this QR code right here, and you can try it completely for free. And after that free trial, you can get 50% off your first year of using Monarch. Again, I've been using it for months now, and I'm going to keep doing it. Helps me have a great picture of my finances, those recurring charges, canceling those recurring ones that I didn't know were still going, and a ton more. So again, scan it here, or the link is down in the video description. And my thanks to Monarch for sponsoring this video. Next, this works on Safari, but also across lots of different apps and across Mac and iPad. If you want to find something on the page, you probably know about Command F. Now I can type in a search term like matter over thread, and it's going to show me all the search terms on that page for the text that I just typed. You can also cycle through all the results by clicking the arrows here, and it works great on iPad as well. Command F, find something on the page, and then you can cycle through the results using these arrows here. But Command F also works in other apps like Apple Notes. You can click the search bar way up here and type a search term for that note, or just hit Command F, and now I can search within that note. I can see the results and scroll through them using the arrows here. This also works on reminders. Maybe I have a large list of tasks and reminders or something in Kanban board. Well, I could just Command F, and it jumps me up to the search box. Search for a word, and it will pull up some reminders. Next, let's talk about hyperlinking. This is a shortcut that's actually going to work in a lot of different apps. Let's say you were in Mail, for instance, and maybe you want to make this text into a hyperlink. Well, you can right click it and then you can go to link and then add link, or you can just hold the command button, tap the letter K, and it will bring up that window to paste a URL that quickly. This also works for Apple Notes. Select some text, command K, brings up the box to add a link. And it works in a lot of third-party apps too, like here in Bear, command K with selected text and I can add a hyperlink. And it works here in Mail on the iPad as well. Now I'm sure you know all the normal formatting shortcuts. If you select text and do command B, that's bold, command I is italic, command U is underline. If you're here in Notes, Shift Command E is actually highlight. But what about when you want to copy and paste something and keep the formatting consistent? For instance, if I copy this plain text here and try to paste it here, well, it didn't match the format around that text. Well, there's a special keyboard shortcut. If you have something on your clipboard and you want to paste it and match the formatting that's here in the text, do Shift, Option, Command, V, and that will paste the text on your clipboard and match the formatting of where you're pasting it. In the same way, I can copy and paste this bold testing word. If I were to just regular Command V paste it, it keeps that bold and italicized, but if I Shift, Option, Command V, then it will paste with that plain text style because that's what's around it. Now let's go to some useful Finder shortcuts. Let's say I have 4 files here and I actually want to move them into another folder. You might copy them, paste them, and then delete the old ones, but there's a special keyboard shortcut where if you copy the files first, create a new folder, and rather than Command V to paste, which will then create duplicate files, do Command Option and then V, and then it's going to move those files into the folder that's active rather than just copy and paste them. So once again, select the files, Command C to copy, and then where you want to move them, Option Command V, and it will move rather than duplicate. Now there's an even faster way to do this. If you wanted to move a bunch of files to a new folder, you might do Shift Option N to create the folder, you title the folder, and then you drag and move the files you want into that folder. You don't need to do that. If you know you want to put all these files into a single folder and you can select as many as you would like, this time hold the Command button, then Control, and then the letter N, and that will create a new folder with the items you had selected in the folder. Title the folder, and now you've quickly moved things to a new folder with one keyboard shortcut. Now by default, when you're navigating around the Finder, you might want to know the file path, especially if you're deep in a nested folder. Well, you can do Command, Option, and the letter P, and that's going to toggle on the path bar. You'll see it down there at the bottom of the Finder window, and that's telling me it's iCloud Drive, desktop, title folder, and then the file. Then to quickly hide it, Command, Option, P again, and it's gone. Now I don't put a lot of apps in full screen mode, but I do with Final Cut. And typically you can go up here to the green light button, click it, and now you're in full screen mode. Go back up again, click it, and you're in windowed mode. Well, there's a faster way to do that. Command, Control, and then F will put an app in full screen. And the same keyboard shortcut, Command, Control, F, will bring it back into windowed mode. By the way, if you want a downloadable PDF of all the keyboard shortcuts I showed in this video, plus a few extras I didn't get to, just scan this QR code right here or click the link in the video description, sign up via email, and I'll send you that PDF. I'm also thinking about finally starting a regular newsletter, so if you want to be notified of that, you could sign up here too. Now, if you're a longtime Mac user, you probably know about Command Tab, which is the easy way to go between all the apps that you have open right now. So if I want to go to Bear, I can just let go, and if I want to go over to Final Cut, Command Tab over, and now I'm in Final Cut. But when you're Command Tabbing, you can actually take additional actions. Let's say I'm tabbing through my apps and I see that Notes is still open, but I don't need it open. Well, I can literally keep my finger on the Command button and then just tap the letter Q, and I've quit that app without having to actually open it or bring it forward. So I can go over to Reminders, hit the Q, and just keeping my thumb on the Command button allows me to quickly go between these apps. Also, if I want to go in reverse order, hold the Shift button and then Tab, and you'll go backwards. And now you can go forward or back as fast as you want. Lastly, maybe you're Command tabbing, but you have a lot of apps open and you just want to quickly get to that app that's all the way on the end. Well, while I'm Command tabbing, I can just take my mouse and click an app if it's closer, and that's another way to get to it too. If you want to quickly lock your screen, this works on both the Mac and iPad. Well, the iPad kind of has a dedicated lock button right here. You can also do Command Control Q, and that will instantly lock the screen on iPad or lock your screen on the Mac. Once again, Command Control Q to lock your screen. Back to Notes real quick, you can quickly apply title, heading, or even subheading to text with a keyboard shortcut. So I'll select this as a heading, hold Shift, Command, and the letter T, and now that's a heading. I can do Command B to quickly bold it, Shift, Command J, and now it's a subheading. And if you want to return it to a body style text, Shift, Command B. Now it's body text. Also, if you want to instantly create a checklist rather than going up to the toolbar and clicking that symbol, just do Shift, Command L for list, and now you've quickly created a checklist. Also, you can select those same items, Shift-Command-L again, and now it's not a checklist. If you want to make it a bulleted list, that's Shift-Command-7 here in Notes, and maybe you want to move things around, and rather than copy and pasting the list items, you can actually do Control, Command, and then up and down arrow, and reorder the items in that list or checklist, rather than having to copy, paste, delete, move, things like that. Also, I showed you Command F if you want to search within a note, but you can also search across all your Apple Notes. For that, do Option Command F, and then that will go to the universal search across your notes. Also, for taking screenshots, you might know Shift Command 3. That will take a screenshot of your entire screen. Shift Command 4 will turn your cursor into a selection tool. Click and drag a portion, and that will take a screenshot of a portion of your screen. Or Shift Command 5, and that will bring up the screenshot tools built into macOS. And here you can actually go to the options. You can choose whether you want to record the screen, take a static screenshot, put on a timer before it takes the screenshot, and more. And the final pro tip, you can make anything a keyboard shortcut. Bring any app to the foreground and then go up to the menu bar. First, you'll see all the current keyboard shortcuts listed next to each command. So making something a title, making a checklist. I can go over to edit and you'll see all the keyboard shortcuts here, but any menu option that doesn't have a keyboard shortcut, like record audio, we can make that into a keyboard shortcut. You have to remember the exact wording of the command, so record audio and 3 periods. That's important. Then to make it a keyboard shortcut, go to the Apple icon, System Settings. Then here in the list, we're going to go down to Keyboard and then go to Keyboard Shortcuts. Now here, I'm going to go all the way down to App Shortcuts. You can make certain keyboard shortcuts applicable to all apps across your Mac. Unfortunately, you can't do this on the iPad. This is Mac only. But then you can create keyboard shortcuts specifically for individual apps. So I'm going to click the plus icon here, and this time I'm going to choose Apple Notes. So this keyboard shortcut will only apply when the Notes app is in the foreground. The menu title was Record Audio with 3 periods. And for the keyboard shortcut, let's do something a little complicated, but Shift Option Command A. There's not a ton of keyboard shortcuts that use 4 different buttons, so you're usually pretty safe. I'll click Done. And now if we go back to the Notes application, back up to File, we should see our keyboard shortcut next to that menu command. And sure enough, now our Record Audio has a keyboard shortcut right here. So if I'm in a note, if I want to start recording audio right away, Shift Option Command A, and it brings up the audio recorder, and I can start recording the audio that's going to be embedded in this note, which also gets transcribed and even summarized, all here built into Apple Notes. If there's any actions you do in third-party apps all the time, it will be helpful to set up custom keyboard shortcuts. So like in Transcriptionist, which I use to transcribe every video, I often want to export a plain text file to use with Gemini and get title and description ideas, and I export a subtitles format. Those didn't have keyboard shortcuts at first, and they were kind of buried in the export as, custom formats, but now that I have the keyboard shortcuts, I can do it quickly. So for plain text, Shift Command Option E, and I'm already on the export window. I can choose where to save it, and Shift Command Option S, and I'm exporting the SRT format. Also here in Final Cut, I send all my projects to Compressor when they're ready to export. So if I went to File, Send to Compressor, instead I can do Shift Command Option E here in Final Cut, and it does it with a keyboard shortcut. Hopefully that gives you an idea of how powerful keyboard shortcuts can be, so go wild, create a bunch of them, and you'll be moving around your Mac and your iPad way faster. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. Like I mentioned, I do a weekly tech podcast, and I'll be doing other podcasts very soon. I'll put a link to Primary Tech Show right up here. And if you didn't catch my last shortcuts video, I had, I think, 15 plus or maybe more shortcuts to help you make your iPhone even more useful. You can check out that video right up here. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.